So this is the new moon forecast for the moon in Libra, sun and moon coming together here in Libra on October 26th at 12 noon Pacific time. So you see this sun and moon coming together around 9 degrees of Libra. That's in Swati Nakshatra. Swati is ruled by the god Vayu, which means the wind, and this wind god, the god of the wind, is related to the breath, related to thoughts and ideas, and practices such as pranayama and breathing exercises. And he's personified by the god Hanuman in Indian mythology. Hanuman is the big, powerful, strong god of the Indians that was the great hero in the epic, the Ramayana. He's kind of like a sort of Superman, superpower, super strength kind of energy. And this is the nature of this nakshatra of Swati. Of course, sun and moon come together in Swati nakshatra. The symbol is a sword, and it gives the power to scatter in all directions. It's very good for things such as public relations, getting the word out. We might expect in this next month to see an escalation of, propaganda, perhaps for good or bad. But there's a lot of, there's a lot of potential for situations to become volatile and potentially explosive because Swati is ruled by Rahu as well. So it's a Rahu nakshatra, and this gives the power to be very unpredictable and eccentric, but also that kind of connection to genius, and especially there's a high genius potential in this placement because we have this Raj Yoga here with Mercury and Venus both in Swati at the same time. I'm sorry, they're in Vishaka, but they're both in Libra. So Libra, which is where we have the full moon, which is where we have the new moon. We have this new moon in Libra. Of course, sun, moon, and Mercury and Venus are there as well. So this is called a Raja Yoga because it brings together these rulers, and that gives great achievement and accomplishment around things that are ruled by Venus and Mercury, which include communication, creativity, beauty, things like writing, relationships, working things out for the next month can be very powerful and supported. So this is really a good month to be working things out in like a romantic relationship. And also, Libra is very much a sign of business as well. In the Western system, it's actually a man in a shopping bazaar. And this is the thing that happens when we talk about Libra, and I'll say especially in the Western astrology system, it's really tilted toward meaning romantic relationships, and it definitely has that same connotation also in the West, in the Vedic, but it's actually overstated because Libra and that energy is actually an energy of negotiation, and that's what a romantic relationship is. Our desires get us involved. They're the hook that gets us involved, but then what makes it work and what the soul is learning and the skills needed to make relationships work have to do with negotiation and honoring another's wishes equal to our own, and compromise and equality. These are the same skills that allow us to navigate all of our adult relationships, not just the romantic ones. The romantic ones are just the sort of culmination, the most intense expression, but it's also very much about business relationships, and Libra is a very important sign for business and also the social contract in general. But it's more about the individual's needs within the social contract, whereas Aquarius is actually the sign of society, but Libra is really where individuals have to work toward maintaining a social contract. So we're going to see these are big themes this next month with Sun, Moon, and Mercury, Venus in Libra. There's also an aspect from Mars. You see Mars is 27 Cancer, its deepest debilitation, and it's aspecting this Mercury, Venus. Now that sounds bad, deepest debilitation, but it's still a lot of power. And anytime you get this many planets aspecting like around the same exact degrees, you're going to see a lot of strength. So this Mars really infuses Mercury and Venus with a lot of power, but it might be volatile. There might be the potential for arguing and explosiveness and perhaps even authoritarian crackdowns on the voice of the people. There's a lot of these protests going on in the world right now, and we could definitely see some authoritarian crackdowns. And that includes governments where there's protests going on, and in the U.S. too. We might see that for the next month, where things start getting a little bit more urgent. But regardless, there's still a lot of power beyond that possibility. And within that possibility as well, in your, let's say, romantic relationships or in your interactions with others, be careful of this volatility, especially the next couple of days, as Mars is aspecting Mercury-Venus. The other thing that's going to happen very quickly is Mercury-Venus is going to go into Scorpio. I'll talk more about that later. But for this new moon, these are the big players. The other important things is Jupiter is aspecting also. Very powerful Jupiter aspect from Aries. Now, when you look up in the sky right now, Jupiter is huge. He's big and bright because he's as retrograde as he gets, which means when the planet is retrograde, it's closest to the Earth than at any other time. You look at the degrees of Jupiter, 11 degrees Aries, Sun and Moon are 9 degrees. That's like exact opposition. So Jupiter is as close to the Earth now as he gets, for the most part. So he's really bright and really big right now. So that gives enormous amount of grace in balancing the Libra-Aries axis. So Jupiter's up there in Aries, which is really, when Jupiter went into Aries is when the Arab Spring stuff really started and the protests around the world started, because Jupiter's in Aries fighting for individual rights and justice. Individual Aries rights and justice, Jupiter. And he's aspecting this Mercury-Venus in Libra, Mercury, Sun, Venus, Moon in Libra, so it brings that contrast. The other thing to realize is there's hemming going on. You see around this new moon, we have Saturn on one side, Rahu on the other. This is what's called hemming when you get difficult planets or positive planets in the adjacent signs to any configuration. So with this hemming, there's an environment of stress right now. There's an environment of fear and worry, because Saturn and Rahu are both worrisome and fearful planets, especially considering this Mars aspect right now. It really could portend some situations getting pushed to the point of action, especially socially. Social unrest could definitely be on the increase this next month. I would say that's certainly possible, especially with Swati being the nakshatra, with this hemming, which shows an environment of stress and fear. Like, the power brokers are probably getting a little bit stressed and worried because it seems like this Occupy movement ain't going anywhere anytime soon, and they might try to say, okay, what's going on here? And again, Mars aspect is really like a flashpoint, and you see this is an applying aspect as well. Mars is 27, Mercury, Venus are within like 1 degree. Venus is like exact applying aspect to Mars at the time of the new moon. So that's the general forecast for the next 30 days and the important energies. Now I'll do the forecast for my gold members. Those who are members of my site also get to hear the forecast for their astrology sign for the next 30 days. So if you're not a member at my site, you can do that and also get one of my free DVD home study courses, as well as getting many classes and videos updates each month. So you can check that out as well.